Welcome back, you freaky people, to the channel. My name is Zero Gravity. I am the mayor of all recorded instances of violence here at Big Gold Belt Media. And for me, it's time to see what Fantasia Fest has to offer. And I'm starting out pretty strong with a new dark and bloody anthology out of South Korea that's titled The Killers. The film just made its Canadian debut at Fantasia Fest right after its world premiere at the New York Asian Film Festival over here back in July. So, anthologies, they're always a mixed bag. I don't have to brief you on this. I definitely did have my reservations, but after 120 minutes, I'm feeling pretty good actually. I'll avoid the spoilers, but let me tell you a couple things about the film. So, fortunately for me, the things that tie these short films together are the thrills, the suspense, and the violence that occurs in the daily life of a hitman, told from four different perspectives through four different, very different stylized worlds. Filmmakers Kim Jong-kwan, Ra-dok, Chang Hong-jun, and Lee Myung-se all had Ernest Hemingway's 1927 short of the same title as their main source of inspiration, which I think is pretty unique. And like anyone would, I have a preference between the four different shorts. But like I said, at the end of the day, The Killers is an anthology definitely worth checking out for sure. So the first short is titled Metamorphosis. This one is directed by Kim Jong-kwan. And I think this one is the most in line with my personal taste, as there is a cute little fantasy element that may or may not dabble with the undead. Looks into the audience. So a man wakes up bruised, bloody, in a very dapper and snazzy kind of jazz bar. And there's an auspiciously even more dapper looking bartender serving up some questionable cocktails with a very sinister smile. So this one, titled Metamorphosis, great performances here, a really, really killer set design, and a masterclass of suspense that precedes a super explosive and bloodied up finale. It was crazy. It was very tense for, I want to say, 3/4 of the way through of the short. And then at the very last moment, it really kicks ass and it goes there. It's wild. Loved this one. So the next one is Rajok's Contractors, which, depending on your type of humor, can be an absolute knockout. This story follows a group of young and very green hitmen, and they're tasked with the assassination of a college music professor. So this story is a very black comedy, if I've ever seen one. The industry of organized crime, from what we know about it, because I don't know much, should be very straight up and to the point, but every now and then somebody's got to screw up. So, Contractors, this short illustrates the danger of having a weak link in the outcome of an abysmal game of telephone. That's really what this film is. This one is really hard to lose your attention. It's just when you can't think it can't get any worse, of course it does. The pacing stays at a very consistent high that'll match your heart rate. And with a couple of comedic bags to give your blood pressure a little bit of relief in between those. Oh, and it's also very crazy to learn that this short is actually based off of true events. I have yet to fall down that rabbit hole, but you could find me there soon enough. So after that short comes Everyone is Waiting for the Man. This one is directed by Chang Hong-jun. And this might be the most classic, quote unquote, classic interpretation of the assassination crime thriller. Um, this is the first period piece because there are multiple in the anthology. This one is set in the 70s. So there's a detective and a separate pair of hitmen, and they meet up very unexpectedly, looking for the same target. So the short might objectively be the best out of the four. And I love the way that this single location banger really reads like a stage play, because it is one single location, but it's dramatized in its dialogue, similar to how a stage play is. And it is awesome and intriguing ride to observe the characters' beef Watching them go back and forth and bicker until they can decipher who their target actually is because they don't know what he looks like. Interesting. This short it's a watch. It's different than the previous two because the audience is so left out of the mix. And the characters find their solution. We're also trying to find that same solution, which is pretty fun. So Lee Myung-se directs the last short. This one's titled Silent Cinema. And it's really the only short that did not deliver for me. But again, that's a pretty good ratio. So I would still say this is worth the watch. I suspect this one is an acquired taste, to say the least, as it has an extremely stylized vibe that emulates a very retro and dystopian world. It's also shot in black and gray. And the rules are kind of similar to a cartoon universe. Maybe it would have held my attention more if it were placed sooner in the runtime because now, my battery is kind of running out. But this short seems more like a fantastical display of satirical world building and set design rather than an actual story that we have to get to know. It simply requires a strong amount of focus and flexibility that viewers might have depleted by the time that they get to this last short. But again, 3 out of 4 is still a passing score. If you're a fan of violence, mystery, and have a taste for black comedy and effed up humor, I would definitely recommend keeping an ear to the floor for The Killers out of South Korea. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Zero Gravity. On to the next one.